Hey, this is John Young with the Weekend Handyman. Today we're going to be going and getting this little generator, this little inverter here from Ryobi, all set up and ready to go. And we're going to do this live, pretty much on video. This is going to be an uncut video. Now I might shorten some of the segments down and such just a little bit, but I want to do this as live as possible. And if I have to stop, it's only because my children have come in here while I'm working on this today. But this is a little propane. It can run off the 1-pound tank, or it can run off a 20-pound tank, or any variation thereof, propane tank. Just propane though. Inverter generator here. The model number is this is the RYI911LP. The 911LP. There's a couple of different versions, but this is the one that's available at Home Depot. $300, $299 will get you this one. It is a 700 watt continuous, a 900 watt peak. This is not going to run a lot of things, but for the right applications, this is going to be kind of a cool thing. For me, I am a DJ. I also do officiating of weddings. I need to have a generator sometimes to go to a remote location. I can run 2 tops and a sub with this on paper. We're going to test that in a second video, but for today, we're going to get this up and running and we're going to do it live. When it comes, it's going to have your instructions. It's going to be in the box. It's going to have the oil. The oil is actually located outside the styrofoam and kind of encompassed in that foam and taped in there so it's not going to leak or be damaged. So the oil is in the box. If you pull this out and you look around, you're not seeing it. It's because you got to pull the styrofoam ends out also, and it's there. You've got instructions again. Then it has a bag that has a little screwdriver to put the screws in on this side, and you'll see in a minute why that's important. And it has the little adapter to go from our 1-pound cylinders to a tank. I'm actually going to be using a 10-pound cylinder, or tank on this, I should say, that you'd use for ice fishing or something. And then it has another little wrench here for, I would guess that's for the spark plug that's involved with this. So what you need to do to get this up and running is obviously you need to have a little 1-pound cylinder, and then you have to put the oil in it. And I've got a little disposable funnel here that I'm going to use, and we're going to put the oil in here. I'm going to probably have to go and grab I don't think I grabbed a paper towel to make sure everything's good and clean. So one side of it, I'm just going to turn it around here. This is about 25 pounds, by the way. This is the back side. The only thing that's really on this side is a little primer here. And when we put the propane tank on there, we push and hold the primer in for about a second or two. That's it. We're ready to go. Basically, it's just going to purge some of the air out of the line, and then we can give it a pull to start. The bulk of what we need to address is on this side, and you can see that the little screws are right here. On that side of it, this side just pops right off. First time I popped it off just to check and see what was in there, it kind of was stuck, but there's a couple of little pieces here that get into a couple of little round rubber gaskets to line it up, and then of course we have got your screw area there that's going to go in. And the screws are right here, tools there, so you have it all. It's not a Phillips, it's a more of a hex head on this, so we're going to set that aside. We're not going to actually put that on until we are done, because we have to first go right down in here, and this is where the oil will go in, right here. What's kind of neat about it is that there's a little trough right here. You guys can zoom in on this. That little trough right here, so if you happen to have some oil drip out, you can deal with it. And of course, when it comes to draining the oil for changing the oil, you have to tip it that way. And it will be able to run out instead of down inside the machine. Yay, that's so much nicer. So we're going to take this out. The unit is shipped fully empty, but there is oil residue in there because they did put oil to it and they shipped it that way. So my funnel isn't going to help me a whole heck of a lot, unfortunately, in this little configuration, so we're going to do it just with the bottle. The funnel's not much smaller than the bottle. That funnel is kind of something that my boys had picked up for using when they're throwing oil in their cars. And I thought, well, let's try one of them. It didn't help much. So we'll do our oil. Comes with it. It's a 10W30 oil in that. I'm going to use this for the first probably couple of hours, and then after a period of break-in time, I'm going to change the oil on this, and I'm going to go to a synthetic for the next round. But the key part of this is it's 8.5 fluid ounces. That's exactly how much this takes. So when I go to dump it, I'll have to put 8.5 fluid ounces back in this, and I'm going to actually get my little marker, and I'm going to write that on the side of the unit, on the inside of that little panel that we took up. 8.5 fluid ounces. So that way it's all there, done properly before we shed it off. So we'll just dump this in. And if I don't make a mess, I suppose I don't really need to go get a paper towel if I can avoid making a mess. But you'll see in the, especially lawnmower area, there are different oils out there right now that are almost lifetime oils. Something like that could be used in this, but I still wouldn't recommend never changing the oil. This is something that people have been using this little guy in remote locations, and they've been hooking it up to big tanks, not just 20-pound cylinders. They've been hooking up to 100-pound, or they've been hooking it up to a larger tank than that, and these have been running 24/7. And they change the oil. I think they said they were changing the oil monthly on that particular unit, putting in a synthetic oil, good quality synthetic oil, and they change it every month because it's in a location where they need to have that consistent power supply for that amount of time. So they stop it, drain the oil, put new oil in, fresh oil, and start it up, and off they go again. Okay, my oil is all in, and I don't think I made a mess at all. Yay. And I can put my little dipstick in and check the oil. And yep, it is up on the dipstick. Now you could go and check and wipe and check and wipe, but let's face it, it needs 8.5. It needs 8.5 ounces, and that's what it had in the bottle. This is probably the most difficult part of this so far, because I took this out the other day, and getting this lined up, getting the little dipstick lined up so you're not going to damage the threads on the dipstick itself, because the dipstick is a plastic dipstick going into a metal housing. So we're obviously not going to damage the metal housing, but the dipstick could get funky with the threads, and I don't want that because I want that to be as sealed as possible, so that way in transport of this we're not going to have issues. Alright, oil is in, just like that. That was a lot cleaner than I thought it was going to be, so yay, good planning Ryobi with that. So I'm good there. I don't need to do anything more here. I could put the cover on it, but we're not going to do that right now because I want to write that 8.5 ounce on the inside of that. We have our little cylinder. And the little cylinder will just go right in to this. And you get it up in there and put it in and tighten it all the way up. And now this is where in the instructions they tell you to go with a little spritzer to go and check and make sure it's all sealed up and such. I can smell a little propane from it because it had that little bit of leakage. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with that. If I were going to do it inside or something to that effect, I would be checking it. But if you can see in there, the problem is you can't. It's really tight, really tight. You can spray some and you might see some bubbling, but I'm not going to spend much time on that. I have it threaded properly. That's the key. It's making sure it's threaded and threaded properly, and then you're good to go. So then I will come around to the back side, and there's the purge, and then I will come around to the other side, and there's the pull. You know what I'm going to do is now open that up just a little bit to make sure we have plenty of air. It's propane, so it really probably doesn't need that. But you know what? I'm always wanting to just err on the side of caution. So the tank is in there. If I would be on a 20-pound tank, I'd be using the adapters, obviously, and then I would have to turn that on, and then I'd have to push this just a hair bit longer, but there you go. You could hear it change the pitch of it as it went, and now it has actual propane in there. So let's see if I have enough room to do this. Okay. Let's try this again. There we go. Okay, so there it is. It's up and running. Quick and easy, get it going. And it's not very loud. Of course, it's on kind of a low speed right now. What if we could hook up something to it? Just my speaker. Well, it went broke. That was about it. Because this doesn't take much electricity once it's just first turned on and without music. And then it's got a little dead man switch, or a little shut-off switch in the front. So we have a ground if we needed a ground on that. We have our little shut-off switch. We've got a reset breaker if we need to right there. 110 volt outlet, and we're good to go. So that's it. 10 minutes it took us to get this up and running from the box. And again, this is just basically saying, hey, there's oil needed for this before it can go. And this, at what you were hearing, that was probably going to be able to handle, because that was probably going to handle a 100 watt load, what have you. And then of course, as you increase the wattage and get up to closer to that 700, it's going to be louder. Look for another video, because we're going to take these speakers out. There's 3 speakers here. There's the 2 tops and a sub, and we're going to put some music to it, and that's going to put more of a load, and then we're going to see how much this will lug down as we've added more to it. And of course, it's only 700 watts of continuous runtime, peak of 900. So at some point in time, as you add more things, this could go into a kind of thermal protection if you needed more wattage than that. So be very careful of what you're using this for, but for the right application, this is a cool little generator, and it's really kind of quiet. Biggest downfall people say about this one is that there isn't a 12 volt output on this particular little inverter, where our larger ones, we've got the Ryobi 2, the 2200 over there, those have the 12 volt capabilities, and they also have the parallel kits and a lot of cool features, which this obviously doesn't. But for what I want, for remote sound system, for a wedding officiate, when I'm doing officiating weddings, this could be a great little device. So thank you guys for watching. This again is the, I'll give you the model number one more time. This is the RYI911LP running off a little propane tank. This is John Young with the Weekend Handyman.